This show is presented by the 323 Network. You can watch all your favorite 323 friends and shows on the 323 Network YouTube channel, follow us on all social media platforms at 323read, and support us as we continue to grow at patreon.com/323read. That's 323REID.
Jeff Brom, how about those Louisville Cardinals?
Well, let me answer that question by asking you two questions. One, is this or is this not the XFL? Yes, it is. Two, do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
Happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Oh, happy day. Yes, it is a happy day. It's a rare happy day. I always love it when he hits that high note right in there for no reason at all. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 323. Welcome. I am your host, Reed Murphy. It is the rare Sunday Hangover and Ricks versus Gricks show because we are heading into Thanksgiving week. So we got a shit ton of games to get to on Thursday. So we got to knock all of those out. And it makes for a weird week of picks, because we're picking games that some teams we don't even know how they look yet. Some teams haven't played yet that will be in these games. So your guess is as good as ours. We'll see. Maybe we'll change things up. But no, we trust our guts. This is what it is. It's a gut week. And it's no better way to do a gut week than with these two people that we have here. We have, of course, the host of the 323 College Shame Day, Scott Ellia. Hello, Scott.
Hello there, Reed.
And we have the host of Emily Cissell Asks What If, returning for another guest pick bout. It's rare. It's rare that it's not rare that we have, a returning guest picker. It's the first time we've had guest pickers for Ricks versus Gricks. Emily, you're making history. Welcome.
I'm always making history.
That's true. Look at that hat. Don't you love the Bears
Breaking through those glass ceilings.
I love the hat. I love Justin Fields being up in the corner, flipping Scott off the entire time. It's just been one of those days for the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
It's always one of those days for the Bears.
It's one of those years.
Scott over here was complaining that he bet on the Bears to win on something, and I'm like, why did you bet on the Bears?
I will say the reasoning was because I didn't double check the injury report and I thought Justin Fields wasn't going to be playing. If I knew he was going to be playing, I wouldn't have put the money on him.
But he was one of the good parts of it.
Not at the end. Not when it mattered. They coughs up that ball in the end zone.
What do you think the two old ladies who bet would say about you not doing your homework ahead of this bet on here?
They would probably scold me like my ex-wife.
Shout out to ex-wives everywhere. We have quite a lot to get to from this past Sunday, but I say past Sunday, we're recording on a Sunday. That's the hangover part of this. And for those uninitiated, we call it the Sunday hangover because it's just been so much football between the Saturday college games, which we have to get to with you, Scott. We will let you grieve live on here, but also all the Sunday games. You just feel sick going into Sunday night football, but you can't get enough. Best way to cure a hangover was with more football. So you get ready for that, ready for the biggest game of the year on Monday night. And before we get into football, as we do recaps of the week here, something that happened last week, but close enough to this week, something that we didn't cover, but I think we need to cover here, was, I don't know if you've seen it, Scott, but a near fight on the Senate. And I want you to tell me if this video from the U.S. Senate it was like a panel on some type of economic whatever. It doesn't matter. All that matters is what came out of it. Tell me if this video gives you any faith in our system.
Like he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company myself, and my wife was running the office, because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
no, stop it.
Is that your solution,
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Okay. You know, you're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can, no,
This is
I have
what
the
he
mic.
said.
I'm sorry.
This is
Hold
what
it.
he said.
You'll have your time.
Okay.
Can I respond?
Oh, no, you can't. This is a hearing.
So
that whole interaction reminds me of growing up. Of course, for those who don't know that are listening, I have 4 siblings, and we all are kind of crammed in there together in age. That reminds me of times where there'd be some kind of grievance between me and my brothers, and my dad steps in and is about to fight. That's all it reminded me of.
What it reminded me of was when I was a classroom teacher and I have 2 kids beefing and they're like, bro, you want to go? Bro, you going to go? Bring it on. Stand up. And the teacher being like, sit your butt down.
I say let them fight.
you stand your butt up. You stand your
I
butt
say
up.
let them. Listen.
They're acting like my 11-year-olds. Like they are.
Does it give me hope? No. But hey, have we tried it yet? Maybe we should do hand-to-hand combat more.
I mean, nothing else is getting really done. I would love to see a Senate cage match with Bernie Sanders as the ref, trying to like break everything up as it's going, you know, when it's getting a little too hot, but just let them fight. I think it would be fun. It's
like Celebrity Deathmatch from back in the day on MTV. He's the claymation death fights with celebrities.
Oh, and
he's the new Buffer.
Hold on.
Bernie Buffer.
The ring girl would be George.
George Santos, yeah, in his drag.
He'd be in his drag, and he was the ring girl, the cage girl.
Oh, Bernie Buffer. It's time to fight. Oh, that would be great. But let's get out of politics. That's all the politics we really need to get. That's the only politics you need here on the 323. Now we explore and we get into this past NFL Sunday with some really dramatic big game music. I like that. Hello, new soundboard. Oh, it has been a fun week 11 in the NFL, the one that's not even finished by the time that we're recording. But it all started last Thursday, this Thursday night football matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens beat the Bengals 34-20. Ravens are 8-3 now. The Bengals are 5-5. And Scott, I have to ask you, how do you feel about the Bengals' chances now that Joe Burrow is out for the season? We talked about this as it was happening on Ricks versus Gricks, but he did tear ligaments in his wrist. He is out for the season now.
I mean, my hopes for them were pretty snuffed out early on in the season with how they just didn't seem like they were clicking. So now you have him going down for the rest of the season, and it's just, question marks all over the field. I don't have very high hopes for them at all from here on out.
No, I don't think anybody should. How's your sister? Have you checked in on your sister, the Bengals fan?
Well, she's not really a Bengals fan.
Well, I mean, kind of like an adopted Bengals fan.
Adopted it because of some friends. I don't think she's really been paying attention much to the football season this year, honestly.
Hey, I mean, if you don't pay attention, you can't be hurt.
I don't think she's playing fantasy this year, and that was like the one reason for her to pay attention.
Gotcha. Well, moving on to Sunday and staying in the AFC North. Very competitive AFC North. The Pittsburgh Steelers took on the Cleveland Browns. Browns do not have Deshaun Watson. We talked about on Ricks versus Gricks. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was getting his next start for the Browns, the rookie quarterback out of UCLA, and he led the Browns to his first win as a starter. Very emotional first win by him. It was awesome to see. Browns beat the Steelers 13-10. Cleveland is now 7-3 and in second place of that division. Pittsburgh drops to 6-4. Meanwhile, Scott's Las Vegas Raiders, they took on the Miami Dolphins. And surprisingly, it was a better and closer game than I think most people would expect. The Antonio Pierce magic is still working with that interim coach. I'm kind of hoping to see him get the job there. Still lost, though. Dolphins beat the Raiders 20-13. Miami, they are now 7-3 on top of the AFC East, doing well with it. Raiders are 5-6. They are not for real. Whenever they're under 500, they are officially not for real. Two other teams that may be for real or may not be for real. We have to talk about them at some point. The Detroit Lions and Emily's Chicago Bears. We already brought it up, but Chicago was taking it to Detroit early. Justin Fields was looking great. DJ Moore was doing well like he has throughout the season, but still was not enough to overcome the Lions at home. They managed to make a comeback, and they beat the Bears 31-26. Detroit, they are now 8-2. Chicago, they fall to 3-8, getting that draft pick status.
I want those first two draft picks.
You're getting that in the Panthers. And speaking of the Panthers, they're helping you. They're helping you with that first overall pick. Panthers, they took on the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, he continues his kind of mid-season MVP campaign, some might argue. I don't know how you feel about him, Scott, and what you feel his chances could be, what you feel the Cowboys' chances are with how they're looking. They took down the Panthers 33-10. Dallas is now 7-3 in the NFC East. The Carolina Panthers, they fall to 1-9. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on both teams, Scott? Like, what are your thoughts towards Dak Prescott and this campaign he's making, and what are your thoughts on Frank Reich and his job security in 1 year with the Panthers?
I definitely see them making a quick pivot from Frank Reich after the season. You bring in a talent like Bryce Young. Yes, they have a lot of question marks all over the place, but I think they need to have they have to have some kind of reset. Just continue the course, get a high draft pick. I think if you were to couple like Bryce Young with Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State, that would be a very interesting duo on the outside. And then for the Cowboys, I mean, is anybody shocked that they beat the Panthers? They did what they were supposed to do. Congratulations. Let's celebrate mediocrity at its best. Congratulations, Cowboys. You won. But I mean, they're 7-3. They're second in the NFC East. They're probably going to have a playoff berth, but they're going to do what they do best in the playoffs, and that's choke. So it's okay.
You felt a type of way, didn't you, Emily, when you said Marvin Harrison to the Panthers?
He ain't going there.
Where's he going? That place on your hat?
We're going to get those first two draft picks, and he's going to the Bears, and we're going to take over that other tight end.
Oh, that's right. We always forget the Panthers. They gave their number one pick to the Bears.
I forgot about that. So you're right. Yep, you're correct. You are 100% correct.
Oh.
We're going to get him.
I forgot how stupid that trade was.
Is it that Georgia tight end?
Yeah, Brock Bowers. Yeah. Oh my God!
Bowers.
If they
we're
could
gonna get Brock Bowers, and we're gonna get Marvin, and they're gonna go to the Bears.
It could only be more pain if Justin Fields just sucks more with Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison.
Right? Like, what excuse do you need?
Because I feel like actually, like, since we got in Sweat, I feel like the defense has actually kind of stepped up a little bit more. Like, they definitely are doing a little more work. I don't know.
We'll see.
I just also want a new coach.
Yeah.
Take Pierce if the Raiders won't keep him.
I think that's a bigger issue in Chicago, since we're pivoting to Chicago really quick. I think that's their biggest issue, is getting Eberflus out of there.
I mean, hey, if you want a new coach, you can have Ron Rivera.
No,
I heard Josh McDaniels
is out there.
I heard he's out there.
I'll take Rivera as a defensive coordinator.
It would be. I mean, look, that's my campaign now, to not to fire Ron Rivera, but to to give him as a goodwill sort of outing to the Chicago Bears. That's where he played. That's where you guys need him as your leader. He would be a great head coach for you guys. We can sacrifice in Washington giving away Coach Rivera to you. It'll be fine by us. Speaking of Washington, the Washington Commanders. Where's Zoo? Somebody find Zoo. Make sure he's okay. The Commanders, they unfortunately lost to the New York Giants. Not just lost to them. They lost 31-19. Who did the Giants beat?
The fucking Commanders! Ah!
Oh, it did not look great. Sam Howell threw 3 interceptions in that game. Not great interceptions either. He was still getting sacked all over the place, but holding the ball for a little too long. Bad decision making just everywhere. It was a whole team loss. And then after that, Dan Snyder's ghost came back in. I don't know if you saw it, but no hot water in the showers after the game. The locker rooms and teams did not have hot water. They said they would have to shut off water to the entire stadium, and they don't know if they can do that.
Nope.
That is classic FedEx Field.
And wasn't there a player that he fractured his leg?
Yes, our defensive end who replaced, we were counting on in the replacement of Chase Young and Montez Sweat, F.A. Obata. Prayers up to him. He also fractured his right leg in that game. Curtis Samuel got ejected for getting into a fight with a Giants player.
I saw that.
Sam Howell getting rocked. Yeah, it was a day. It was a day. Those black uniforms, I'm telling you, they're curse. There's nothing good about that.
The Bears put up like over 40 points in those black uniforms.
They lose in the worst ways in these uniforms. Like they're trying to hide in the dark in a daytime game. Like I don't get it. That's oh gosh. Well, getting out of the NFC East, we go to the AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they're continuing their trek and trucking through the AFC. Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans 34-14. Jaguars are now 7-3. Titans are 3-7. Heading back to the NFC, actually a little interconference matchup here. The Green Bay Packers versus the LA Chargers. And what have we said for a year? If there's going to be a game that might be close involving the LA Chargers, which way are you supposed to go? The other team. You go with the Packers in that one, and you would have been right today. The Packers won against the Chargers 23-20 with a very pissed off Justin Herbert throughout that game. Like he was looking furious with how everything was going.
I have been refreshing my ESPN since that game has been over to see Brandon Staley been fired. He's not lasting past tomorrow, right?
No, he can't. But let me give you something here, because that new Brandon Staley dropped during one of his press conferences. We love when he's going in during these press conferences. And the latest was when media asked him, hey, are you going to give up defensive play calling here? Or like, what's the deal? And he had a very fiery response back for it.
So you can stop asking that question. Okay. I'm going to be calling the defenses. Okay. So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
He ain't going to be calling shit anymore.
He's always the most intimidating. Everything about him in his press conference is intimidating. And then the defense just looks like absolute ass.
It just doesn't make it. I mean, that pass defense is trash. And then you lost Bosa, which doesn't help at all.
Right.
So it's like, you have star talent on the other side of the ball with Derwin James and Asante Samuel Jr. and a couple other players that I can't name off the top of my head. But it's like, you should be doing a hell of a lot more with that team than what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. And we said it during Ricks versus Gricks that this is the kind of game going up against a 3-6 Packers team, and you lose this. This is the kind of game that would make, Brandon Staley's job security really fall to shit, and maybe launch the Kellen Moore experience and check him out. Young, smart offensive coordinator. Just check him out for half a season, see what he can do as the head coach, and see if it can, continue to help out Justin Herbert. It looks like if you're losing the quarterback and getting him that frustrated during a game, you have to move on. That can't work. Let's get Brandon Staley up out of there. The LA Chargers, they fall to 4-6 during that loss. The Green Bay Packers, they go to 4-6. Meanwhile, the Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans. Kind of a fun game to watch highlights from. Sloppy, but fun. CJ Stroud threw so many weeks, only threw 2 interceptions, and it was crazy. He threw 3 interceptions in this game. So
Had to happen at some point.
had to happen. He evened out, and he still looked great. They asked him after the game, his confidence wasn't unwavered. He said, Curry just keeps on shooting. I'm going to go with stride. He said, keep shooting
That's
too.
That's what you want out of a quarterback, though.
Yeah, and especially a rookie quarterback. That's the mentality that you want. Texans, they picked up the win there despite Kyler Murray putting on some pretty great Kyler Murray moments. Texans win 21-16. Houston now advances to 6-4. Arizona, they fall to 2-9, still contending for that number 1 pick. Scott's Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the San Francisco 49ers. You want to tell us what happened there? Because the 49ers won 27-14, and Brock Purdy put up a perfect game.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners did what they needed to do, what they were supposed to do at home, and this just further shows. I know we were kind of second guessing my ceiling I gave the Bucs at the preseason, but it looks like they're staying at that 4-win mark that I gave them early on.
They're getting there. They're trying to prove your team is trying to help you. That's what's happening right there. Tampa Bay, they fall to 4-6. The San Francisco 49ers, they go back to the top of the NFC West at 7-3 with a great matchup against the team that's number 2 in the NFC West now, the Seattle Seahawks, who took on the LA Rams today. And despite a last-ditch effort to try and get up the field in a close game, the Seahawks, Jason Myers, their kicker, missed the game-winning field goal, what would have been the game-winning field goal. Rams take a upset win against the Seahawks, 17-16. The Rams are now 4-6. The Seahawks fall to 6-4 ahead of a very pivotal Thanksgiving night matchup against the 49ers. That one's going to be fun. And finally, Luis Martinez's Jets. They took on the Buffalo Bills. And what many thought could be a revenge game for the Bills, which is weird. Weird to think of a revenge game against the Jets for the Bills. The Bills, they came in, they handled their business against New York. They beat them 32-6. Zach Wilson had one of those Zach Wilson-y games where he even ran out of the sideline and took down Rob Saleh. And I kind of thought when I saw the headline, I was joking, saying, okay, that's what will get him benched. You run into the coach, take him out. Finally, that's what will get him benched. 20 minutes later, who's in? Tim Boyle. So finally happened. The Jets, they fall to 4-6. Buffalo advances to 6-5. And Scott, I want to go in on that game a little bit and just ask you, because we talked about it during Ricks versus Gricks, of who's feeling shittier this season, Zach Wilson with the Jets or Mac Jones with the Patriots. And I think we're all pretty much in agreement on Mac Jones and just how this is gone. Like Zach Wilson, nobody had expectations of him to do anything this season, but the more it goes, and one radio host, this radio host, New York Jets fan who was they're in that casual anger stage of fandom anger. And he was wondering, like, how do your defensive stars feel? Like Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, who are having incredible seasons. They're doing everything they can to win. How are they supposed to feel when your quarterback is just purely bad? Like he's showing that he can't be trusted. So, and he's shown it from the start of the season. He showed it to you last year. You already knew that was the case, and that's why you went after an Aaron Rodgers. Why not go after somebody when you had the opportunity to get like Josh Dobbs for nothing but a hum and a song, and watching him perform for various teams throughout the season? And you could have that on a team that was supposed to be a possible Super Bowl contender in the Jets. How are the Jets supposed to feel with Zach Wilson? Can they possibly turn back to him now before Aaron Rodgers' alleged return the week of December 2nd?
Yeah, so December 2nd, what game is that? That is the Falcons game.
Yes.
So that's one more game. They got the Dolphins. And then from there, so let's just hypothetically say they beat the Dolphins miraculously. Somehow at home, they beat the Dolphins. They still have another 6 games to go. If they win out, they get to 11. But I mean, I think it's just a little, it's too much. It's too little too late kind of situation. I don't have any faith in Zach Wilson. Neither does the Jets fan base. I think this is what you're seeing. You're seeing the downfall of an organization putting all their eggs in one basket, and that basket being Aaron Rodgers. And they're unwilling to part ways with even the most minuscule kind of trade chip to get like a Josh Dobbs. And then you sit back and you start thinking like, okay, well, what quarterbacks are out there right now as far as free agents that you could possibly bring in? Bring Joe Flacco in. Why the hell don't you bring Joe Flacco in? I feel like people would have a lot more faith in him than you would with Zach Wilson at this point.
And he knows the system. He was with the Jets the last couple of years.
Right. And it's a veteran presence, especially it's probably what's really needed right now in that locker room, because that team is so young. I'm trying to think outside of Aaron Rodgers, who do they have right now that would be that veteran go-to, like get your mind right kind of anchor to the locker room?
Randall Cobb, who can't catch.
Yeah, isn't there the was he on the defense or the offense? They were highlighting him in the preseason stuff. The show.
I'm trying to think of who that could be.
CJ Mosley's there. CJ Mosley's been around for a while, but I wouldn't consider Mosley being a
not like that
leader,
mentor presence. It might have been Cobb that they were highlighting. It could have been Corey Davis, who retired.
Right. And I think that's probably another underlying issue is just the overall, what's the word I'm looking for? Like inexperience in that locker room. Like you're going to have this happen. I mean, you look at locker rooms all across the country. I mean, Josh Allen's a clear leader in that Buffalo Bill locker room. You have, I mean, you could say Terry McLaurin's a leader in the locker room for the Commanders. You don't have that in the Jets. I don't feel.
No. No, you don't have anybody that's that commanding. Even Garrett Wilson could have been somebody like that, but even he was looking so frustrated during that game because you can't help but be frustrated in that type of situation. And like we were saying, like you brought up Joe Flacco, Emily brought up Carson Wentz, who was out there. He was available the entire season up until a couple weeks ago when the Rams signed him as their backup.
And he would have been cheap.
He came cheap, and he wanted to go there. He was making contacts. You have retired guys.
Yeah, didn't he make contacts to them?
Yeah, he made contacts to the Jets. You had retired guys like Matt Ryan. You could have gotten Matt Ryan out of the
Nick Foles still out there?
Nick Foles is out there somewhere. There are plenty of options. You can get the corpse of Cam Newton and just see what happens there.
Andrew Luck's been looking interested in this again.
Yeah, RG3 asks everybody to sign him.
But yeah, like Matt Ryan or Colt McCoy, there's plenty of talent out there to grab.
Yeah, Colt McCoy was a good option. Yeah, so the Jets they've dug their own grave here, and if they want to trudge out Aaron Rodgers in a couple of weeks to see if he even wants to play behind that offensive line, which is still what I think has been happening. It's been a lot of posturing, and they're going to be out of playoff contention, so why even run him out there? The Jets won't allow him to play. He can just say all this and look great for it. It's a mess there, and now you have the rumors that they're going to be trying to trade for Devontae Adams in the offseason. I would I want to go there if I'm Devontae Adams, besides playing with your buddy at Rodgers.
Right. If I'm Devontae Adams, I don't want to go there. And if I'm the Jets, I don't want to trade for him because I have to give up the whole damn farm just to get him. And that's been one of the bigger issues with the New York Jets over the last 2 decades is that they try to get this one person fix all kind of band-aid to the situation rather than doing what they're doing currently. And it's building through the draft, making acquisitions the right way, building up your team. So like for them to be able to get Devontae Adams, they're going to have to give out something astronomical.
Well, let's look out of Sunday for a bit and go to Saturday football and the college football world. And we're seeing that Seminole on your hat right there. So I have to ask you about, and you, of course, you can get even more thoughts from Scott and hear everything leading into this weekend and next weekend on the 323 College Shame Day, the 323 Network on YouTube. Go subscribe. This is one of the best ways to watch. You can see how handsome he is with that hat and that black hoodie on there everywhere. I know. But this Saturday was kind of rough. You had Jordan Travis, who has been electric. He's a 6-year senior there at FSU. It was looking like a historic milestone year for him and that team, and like they could do some incredible things. And then he gets an awful leg injury. He is done for the season. His career in college is finished. What happens now for FSU? They still got the win against North Alabama. You know, the famous North Alabama, whatever their names are.
The Lions.
Yeah, Lions. But now they go up against Florida next week, I think.
We got Florida next week, and then Louisville in the ACC championship game the week after that in Charlotte. So, I mean, they got to do what they got to do, and that's just win out. They got 2 more games to try to make some kind of push for the college football playoff. For those who don't know, only 4 teams go into that playoff to vie for the national championship. I think this is going to be another instance where you're going to have 6 to 8 teams that could have easily gone into this playoff, and they're not going to have enough slots for everybody. I mean, you look at it right now, there's 5 teams that are 11-0 between Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State. But if you're the college football playoff committee and you're looking at these teams as a whole, would you rather put in Florida State with backup Tate Rodemaker back there at quarterback, or would you rather put in Washington with Michael Penix Jr. and give him the 4th spot? You know,
that was my thought process last night watching Washington in that ugly, rainy game. But I just thought about, like, if you have a team like Washington right there at 5 and Oregon at 6 with Bo Nix and how well he's been performing, it would really suck for FSU because they really put on a game. Like, everybody stepped up in that game.
Yep.
The defense really stepped up there, and they would still, I think, be relatively competitive. But could you trust them against an Ohio State or Michigan or Georgia now in the playoff with Rodemaker at quarterback?
It would be more difficult to trust them simply just based off of that talent difference and experience between Tate Rodemaker and Jordan Travis. I mean, thankfully, Ohio State and Michigan are be playing against each other in their championship game, so one of them is going to be out. But then you have Georgia going up against Alabama. So, like, what happens if Alabama wins? You have them at 11-1, Georgia at 11-1, Michigan or Ohio State at 11-1. I mean, you got, and then, like, if Oregon beats Washington in theirs, then you got them both at 11-1. So you have like 8 or 9 teams at 11-1, and you got to pick 4. I mean, thankfully, a lot of those teams play head to head, so you can kind of put one in front of the other and kind of go based off of that. But when you're looking at everything as a whole from 1 to 8, the team now that's going to be on the outside looking in is going to be Florida State, simply because Jordan Travis isn't going to be there, which is insane because he has just been a beacon of hope in Tallahassee in the Florida State program since Jimbo left. It's kind of been in turmoil, but you really feel for the guy. It's his last game at Doak. They honored him. The same time they honored Jameis Winston retiring his number that night. They had the 2013 national championship team there in the stands watching the game, and he gets hurt. I damn near immediately. I think I got up to go get a drink, and I came back and I see people just crowding around someone hurt on the field. I'm like, now who is it? And I see 13, and then here I am, like, fuck, here it goes. We're already down 13-0. He's out. Now what's going to happen? But you're right. The team definitely rallied up. They definitely did what they needed to do. But I think now that he's not going to be on the field, it's going to be really hard to pitch the Seminoles going into the playoff.
Anything else notable from the college football weekend that caught your eye?
Trying to think if there's anything really crazy. Michigan won, which they almost didn't win that one. The Maryland, the Terrapins actually gave them a fight for a little bit there.
The way Michigan is playing under this interim coach, does it give you pause also? Because I'm starting to think like last week's abysmal, however many running plays they did in a row. I don't know if it was 17 30. Oh my God.
7. It was up there. Their last passing play they had was like 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Everything else from then on out was a running play.
You can't do that against Ohio State and win, can you?
No.
So there's a little bit of concern there. They need Jim back.
Well, that's the thing. They can't have him back. He's out for another game, so he's currently serving that 3-game suspension. He already served 2 last week against Penn State, and then this previous, yesterday against Maryland. He's not going to be on the sideline for that Ohio State game. So if you're barely squeaking away at this point against Maryland, it's definitely cause for concern going into 12 o'clock on this coming Saturday. Or
isn't there a federal investigation into all this now too?
There's so much investigation into everything. You got the NCAA involved. I'm sure the feds are involved in some way, shape, or form, but it's just a mess.
Now the feds are going to tell them, you stand your butt up. You stand your butt up. We'll handle this right here, right now.
But no, and of course, we'll dive a little bit deeper onto all, because like I said, there's so many scenarios right now out in the open for the college football playoff. It's wild to see who might not be going in. And strangely enough, Alabama still has a shot.
Jaden Daniels.
Unfortunately.
Jaden Daniels looked historically great yesterday.
And Reed will tell you this on the most recent episode of College Shame Day. I actually commended Jaden Daniels. I am very impressed to see how he's developed this season more into a passing presence, rather than relying on his legs at all times.
Scott, your assumption that I don't listen to your podcast is insulting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Of course I listen to it.
And everyone else should listen to it. You can find it wherever podcasts are streams. I listen on Spotify. We learned that Reed listens on Spotify. And where do you listen to your podcasts on?
I did on Apple Podcasts, but now I listen on Spotify.
See, folks, we have it everywhere.
It's true.
Wherever you want to find it.
I was on Apple Podcasts, but Apple Podcasts, they did an app update that was frustrating me.
So you can find, as you heard from us right here, you can find the show on Spotify.
Looking at Jaden Daniels'
Apple
stats
Podcasts.
right now, like how does he not get the Heisman? He has 3,500 yards passing with 36 touchdowns and 1,000 yards rushing with another 10 touchdowns.
He's not gonna,
like, how does he?
I don't think he's going to get it though. The main two contenders are Michael Penix and Bo.
It's Bo time, baby.
Jaden Daniels, they're like, yeah, he's doing well, but then they're not actually seriously talking about him or looking at him. And
no, that's when the team record bias comes in.
I would bet though odds coming in this week that I could see.
Bets, man, it's not him.
I would think that the odds looking at it this week would wind up being Bo Nix at number 1, and then Jaden Daniels at number 2. I would bet he would rise back up from that fall last week, and then Penix. I feel like Penix is starting to maybe play himself out.
I'm looking at the betting lines now.
Penix did look good in that rain. There were still some mistakes. It wasn't necessarily his fault. It was that receiver who kept talking about, I hope it rains all night. And then he was dropping every pass.
And the snappers. The snappers were snapping super high and low and all over the place.
Bo's currently sitting at plus 110. Jaden's at 140. And then Michael Penix is at 500.
Okay.
And Jordan Travis isn't on here anymore.
Oh. Rip.
I feel bad because his draft stock has probably also gone down.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen an official release what the injury was. I know it was a foot or an ankle.
I don't think he'll be in a first rounder anymore.
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean the end of his career. It just kind of sucks. But it could mean he'll go to a much better team.
It means Tampa Bay could get him in the second.
Oh, yeah.
I would love it. I would love for Tampa to draft Keon Coleman, the wide receiver, and then come back and get Travis in the second or third round.
Call it right now. You could say it's going to happen right now.
Book it. It's going to happen right now. November 19th at 9:15.
And then he shadows and trains under Baker for a year and then takes over.
Man, the dream.
Well, getting out of football together and finishing out with Saturday talk. Emily, would you like to talk about your experience with F1 racing in Las Vegas on a Saturday night? Because that Washington, whoever the hell they were playing game ended, Washington-Oregon State game ended somewhere around 11, close to 11:30, and we're just sitting there, and ESPN, they go over and they transfer over to F1. It's their big race in Vegas, the first race that F1 has had in 40 years in Vegas. So it was a whole big ordeal. It was a big thing. Of course, it starts at 11:30, but the race didn't actually start until, I think, 12:30. Yeah, about 12:30 a.m. And these races, I don't know what time it ended. I'm assuming it ended somewhere around 3-ish or 3:30. My gosh. But for whatever reason, and we're late.
The hype.
We're late to the party. Everybody in the States have been really falling in love with F1, and I get it. M gets it.
See, I'm one who's still late to the boat, and I haven't given it a fair shake. Should I be
so
paying more attention?
Let's tell you our experience. So it switches over, right?
Oh,
My
God.
assumption is that we're probably going to switch the channel over to like one of the many things on our watch list, of like TV shows and movies. But then we kind of get hooked in because they start doing some of the reporting. So they bring in a magician. They bring it, what was it, Piff?
Yeah, Piff the Magic Dragon.
They brought in Piff the Magic Dragon. So we watched him do this with these two. I think they were either Italian or Spaniards. I know that they were racing for Ferrari. They had the Ferrari stuff on.
Right.
And so we were watching this, and then they go over and we get to watch like some woman. Who was it? Some famous woman?
Danica Patrick.
Yeah, Danica Patrick. She got to drive the track, so we got to watch her look very tense and nervous while driving, which was entertaining. And then they go to the reporting where they're like actually on the strip, and they like, who's the dude that does?
Oh, Martin Brundle.
Yeah,
this is a name that everybody should know.
Martin Brundle. This very old dude who goes on the strip, and he's like trying to interview all the famous people that are walking by, trying to see all the cars, maybe take some pictures with them and stuff. And he like automatically passes by many famous people, like super, super famous people. Like there were a few Marvel stars that he just completely surpassed them that are massive in the US.
It's the best thing that he does. It's my favorite. It's because it's the one thing that I've watched even before watching an F1 race is Martin Brundle stressing out, walking across the grid, elbowing people in the back.
Not strip.
Yeah, elbowing people in the back to get through the crowd, skipping over huge American stars because he doesn't recognize them, and he goes to some British dude from a BBC show that you've never heard of,
like
even people on
C-lister celebrity.
to just ask them very awkwardly, "How you doing tonight?" And then they say, "I'm good," and then they just stand there awkwardly for a second. He was like, "Yeah,
who you rooting for?
Yeah, who you going for?" And then says goodbye. I'll talk to you later as he's already 5 feet away from the person.
Like
walking away.
And so he's going through all of this. He gets to, he was ignoring Zlatan Ibrahimovic. like they kept like panning to him in the shot because he was right there. But Martin was like ignoring him entirely because he wanted to talk to like some of like the engineers and people who work on the cars that were down there instead. He did try to go and talk to Shaq, which was very, very hard because Shaq was having to he was taking all these pictures with Hamilton's crew, the like really famous black racer. And then Shaq eventually, he was like trying to have a conversation with him. He was just like, "Go Lewis Hamilton," and like walking away.
Shaq straight up ignored him, and Brundle was bitchy about it.
Yes,
like he was not feeling it, and he was gonna make sure he got some words out of him.
But he was feeling kind of bitchy about a few of the people who were just trying to be like, no. And he's like, "I don't think you know who I am. Like this, like I am like the main dude with F1 here. Like I ask you a question, you do respond to me. Like that's how it works here in the F1 world."
And he's stressed out about it. He got to the end of the grid, and then he still called, I think, the entire race. Like, I think he then just sat down and just, like, called the race. He was the other commentator on it.
Jesus.
The national anthem was actually pretty good and stuff.
Donny Osmond. Mm-hmm.
They start the F1 race, and immediately there's a little bit of a pile up. And then they all start going, and they all start racing. And, like, I think what it is for me is that, like, in NASCAR, it's, like, one direction the whole time, right? It's one track, you see it the whole time. F1, while it's, like, the same track that they're doing, like, 50 laps of, like, it's not just, like, one turn or anything. Like, you're driving through the city, and there's, like, some super sharp turns and all kinds of stuff. So it's, like, way more entertaining to me to watch than NASCAR. And it's, like, on the same level as, like, watching drag racing. Like, I used to watch drag racing and stuff with my dad, and I still will. Like, that's really fun. NASCAR, I still can't get into. And I think it's like that movement that they're actually going through and seeing the sights. I will say, I think that watching F1 is probably a lot more fun from home than it is in person, especially because like us, we wouldn't be like with the celebrities where they'd have the TV set up so we could see all the same shots that they're doing. Because it is not one big track, like you kind of do need those camera angles to keep shifting through the city for you. But like it's that and like the speed that they're going and like the hum of everything. Like my ADHD brain, like I was locked the fuck in. I was locked in, and like I was like, I'm like actually rooting for people. And like then there was like a big accident that happened, and apparently because Reed was going to bed, and I find that if Reed goes to bed before me, it probably means that I need to go to sleep. Or I'm not sleeping all night. It's an all-nighter. It is about where my brain's going to go with that. But apparently we missed like 2 more cars that did not finish. So like I get it. I don't know what it is exactly. I feel like maybe it is like the actual movements and the path that they go through the cities for F1 racing compared to NASCAR. But like, I get the hype. Like you lock in. You lock the fuck in. Even if it's long, like it just, you're locked in. It's awesome.
Dude, I was trying so hard to go to, like I was falling asleep around like lap 8, but I could not stop. Like I was in a trance. Like I'm just watching.
We were just sitting there.
And they do their little swerves and it like freaks you out for a second. And it's just, it's insane. I love it.
I think the only thing that I saw from this F1 race was what I saw from TikTok. And what I saw from TikTok was like a bunch of people in Vegas trying to like peek through like the fencing and like the barriers and stuff, and security guards coming over and just like cracking skulls and telling them to get back. So
and they need to. They go too fast. You cannot do that. Like
right.
It's a safety issue.
I think I found my next thing I got to pay attention to now.
We were locked in. Like we were starting to go to bed, like unplugging the Christmas lights and stuff. And we were just literally standing there for like 10 or 15 minutes before walking into the bedroom and turning it off.
The unfortunate thing is a lot of them start because of where they do the races. A lot of them start at like 5 a.m. Or 6 a.m. And I'm not getting up for that. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
not a chance. Well, look, this has been an exciting weekend of stuff to talk about. And now that we're on the Sunday Hangover, it's the first Sunday Hangover we've been able to do in a long time. And it's Thanksgiving week. So it's a fun week to do stuff. We will get to Ricks versus Gricks. You'll get your picks. But we have had some top 5s that have been locked in our heads, and we don't have time during Ricks versus Gricks to really get them out when doing other things. Yeah, I see that thumbs up I accidentally gave myself, but it's true. We don't have time to get to it. And now, damn it, we're going to do them. We're going to do all 3 of these top 5s that we've had. Fuck it. We have the top 5 perfectly mid players in sports history. This is inspired by Ryan Tannehill getting benched 2 weeks ago. We have the top 5 players or coaches that look like their city. And we have the top 5 candies that are only good after like eating 3 pieces. And then after that, you're bleh. It's a long title, and it's inspired from Halloween, but god damn it, we'll do it for Thanksgiving. So here, let's go. Let's get this top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the 323's Top 5.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Yeah. It's top 5 time. Oh, which one are we going to start with, Scott? Scott, you were very excited when I first brought these up to like really dive into these ones. So which one do you want to hit first? Because we're going to do with top 5 perfectly mid players in sports history and with players or coaches that look like their city. We're going to work together to create the top 5 because I wasn't able to get my full one. So we will hit with that, and then Candies, we will do our own separate ones. Just to compete, because I think
let's do Candies first. Let's
Candies.
let's do it's like a team building exercise. Let's do candies first, so we all hate each other, and then we have to work together for the other ones.
That works. Em, I don't know. You're like a hostage in this very comfortable chair over there. I don't know if you have lists on the ready, or you just want to judge us. If you want to judge us, you're perfectly fine to do that.
I can throw some stuff in.
Okay. All right. So
not necessarily like in a top 5, but like as I think of some.
Yeah, I'll hit you with it. So we're gonna do the normal thing that we do, Scott. Number 5, and we'll both say ours, and then number 4, we'll both say ours. Boom, boom, bada, boom, bam, bada, bada, boom. And because it's the Thanksgiving show, we have something that ties into Thanksgiving. The gobbler's back. Let's jump into it. Number 5 on top 5 candies that are only good after like 3 pieces. What do you have, Scott?
Circus peanuts.
Ooh.
See, circus peanuts are good. Like, you have 2 or 3 of them, you start feeling it, but after you get to the 4th, you're like, okay, I'm done. I don't want any more.
I've never had circus peanuts. Like, I don't know.
Get them, just don't get them for just you. I would say get like a small, like 99-cent bag from the dollar store, and then you and Em just split them, and then just throw them away so you don't feel guilty about throwing away half a bag of a $1 bag of circus peanuts.
Em, do you have a number 5 ready?
I feel like Tootsie Rolls.
Ooh, see, that's where I disagree, because I could crush some Tootsie Rolls.
I feel like I like Tootsie Rolls, but I definitely can't eat more than a few like at a time. Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's fair.
See, now, when you talk about Tootsie Rolls, do you mean like the little don't cancel me, this is what they're called, the little midget ones? Or do you like the long skinny ones, or the big fat, like foot ones?
I think I've only ever had the little ones that I would get from Halloween, so.
You want to talk cancel. My grandpa had a name for the little ones that I can't say on here. But the kind of
Does it rhyme with piglet?
No, but the pig is in there. The rhyme of pig is in there, and it ends with toes. So it was
oh no,
it was quite a name my grandpa would call them.
What?
That's Tootsie Rolls. You're welcome, folks. Number 5 for me.
Remember what it was. It wasn't Tootsie Rolls. I'm sorry. I'm looking for a giant list of candy.
Oh my gosh, we have to rescind the gobble gobble.
It's Milk Duds.
Oh, Milk Duds.
Yes.
Booger McFarland's. That's what I always call him. Either that or a California raisin.
Racist.
Grandpa. Number 5 for me. Actually, one of my favorite candies, but it's one that like it really starts to get done in my mouth after like a few bites. Yeah, questionable phrasing. Skittles.
Which is weird because he loves them. They're one of his favorites.
I love Skittles.
I can completely understand that, because I know like the fun size bags you get for Halloween, I can eat those no problem.
Yeah.
But I found if I get like the not even like the king size bag of Skittles, but like the regular bag, I get halfway through it and I'm like, I'm done. I don't want any more. My jaw's killing me. I don't want any more of this.
And it's something about, I don't know, if it's the sugar and the flavor getting in there, it just makes my teeth feel like they're gonna fall out. Or something. It's
cancer.
Like it's the Mountain Dew of candy, I think, is what Skittles are, which is why I eat them
gritty,
together.
Grimy feeling, like
yeah. Need fluoride after.
I can understand that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, number 4, Scott. What do you got?
Ooh, number 4. I am going to go with Whoppers, or like malted milk balls.
Ooh.
Gobble gobble.
I can remember growing up and like my grandma would have like a bowl of them, and I would go grab like a handful and just eat it, and then like I'm good. I just needed that and I'm fine.
I'm very happy that you said that, and we'll go to M first. But M, you're number 4.
Oh, I'm going.
Yeah.
Next. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going a little out of order.
Well, I'll go because it ties in with Scott, and then we'll fluctuate the whole thing. Number 4 for me, Scott, Whoppers.
Hey, let's go.
I agree with it. Like, I like Whoppers, but after like a few, like it's not only that malted taste, but then it's like a weird kind of almost Butterfinger feeling of like how it gets like stuck in your teeth and everything. Yeah, I don't vibe with that. Number 4 for you, Em?
Dots.
That's a good one.
Anybody who knows me, they know that I definitely prefer any kind of like fruity candy to anything else, but Dots I feel like have kind of a chalky taste to them. So like I love fruity candy, but that chalky taste, I can only take a few.
That's fair. Scott, number 3.
It's interesting that you said Butterfingers because that's what I have at number 3 is Butterfingers.
Hey.
I don't think I've ever. I do appreciate how they don't put the one long Butterfinger in their package anymore, right? It's like 2 separate pieces.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what they do now. Yes, I can appreciate that because I can't eat a whole one.
No. M, you're number
Toffee gets
3.
stuck in my teeth.
Probably gumdrops.
Oh, yeah.
Same kind of thing where it's a little like I think they're chalkier than dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, number 3 for me, I think, is a little controversial. It's Reese's Pieces. I like Reese's Pieces enough, but then just like after so many of them, like I love and like Reese's peanut butter cups or even the mini ones, I'll eat the shit out of those. But it's something about the Reese's Pieces. It's
the candy coated shell category. Yeah. It's the Skittles. It's the M&Ms. Like I love them, but like in very small doses. I can't eat them in mass quantities.
Not mass quantities. Not like a Godzilla. Mm-hmm. Scott, you're number 2? Or did we go to your number 3 already, Em? I don't know. Scott, number 2.
Hot tamales.
I could, yeah.
I like those.
Cinnamon-based candies, the atomic ball, like atomic bomb little balls you see.
Yeah, I get that one. Em, you're number 2.
Necco wafers.
Necco wafers.
Necco wafers.
Gross.
Oh,
yeah. Have you ever
old
seen
boomer
them?
white candy?
Oh, yeah. I know what those are. Yeah, as soon as you said old, yep. Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I could usually eat like 1 or 2, but I think Necco wafers and Smarties are very similar. And it's
ooh, no. Smarties is my goat. I could crush Smarties every day of my life.
I can't crush off-brand Smarties though. If you've ever gotten have you had a house that's you're going trick-or-treating and one of those house sneaks up on you with that off-brand like great value Smarties and stuff and it just tastes extra chalky? Mm-mm.
So I think that's probably what I've mostly had. And again, it's that chalkiness. I think anything that like is candy and it has like a chalkiness thing to it, I don't eat so much of it.
Like sweet tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Sweet tarts. Yes, sweet tarts. So sweet tarts and those wafers are like similar to me.
Well, number 2 for me, I think it goes back to what you said about dots. They're not dots for me, even though dots will like destroy my teeth. But for some reason, I like it. It's like a punishment. I don't know. It's a weird kink, I guess, with dots. No, for me, number 2, Mike and Ike's.
Yeah.
You do like Mike and Ike's.
I like Mike and Ike's, but it's just like it's one of those things. Like if I had like a little small fun size bag, I could crush it. But if you get that box that kind of looks like the movie theater box of candy of Mike and Ike's, I'm halfway through. It's like stuck in my teeth like dots, but it also is giving me that kind of sick, too much sweetness flavor of the Skittles, and it's just a bad combo. I can't do more than that. Oh, number 1 though. This is the number 1 candy that's only good after like 3 pieces. What is that for you, Scott?
So this is where I kind of had to go back and forth. I had eventually put the one that was battling with the true number 1 into my OLI, and that's gonna be like anything like licorice flavored, like Good and Plenty's or like real like black licorice, like things like that. But no, my number 1 is gonna be the little hearts that you get at Valentine's Day, the little boxes. Like those are good in like really small spurts. It's a good thing it only comes around once a year. But it goes back to what Em was saying about like the chalkiness kind of thing to candy.
Candy hearts. Yep. Oh, Emily, you're number 1?
Sorry guys, I'm really struggling with because there's so many that fall under it, and I hate to be like, I feel like I'm saying the same thing where it's like that chalkiness.
Well, yeah, but there's so many chalky kind of candies.
Like, there are a bunch of chalky candies, and I just
see while you're doing that. One thing that I kind of have on there is anything dark chocolate. Like I love dark chocolate, but I can only have like
chocolate.
Small amount.
I love dark chocolate. It's healthy. It's very healthy for you.
So like Pez.
Oh, the Pez dispense. Oh,
I think Pez are there for me. I would say candy corn, but really I don't like candy corn at all.
Reed, after you say your number one, I think I've made a connection to everything that we've been saying, but you go first.
Okay, number one for me is what inspired the list, and it is exactly that, candy corn. Like, I love candy corn. I love a few pieces of candy corn a year, but the comedian Lewis Black, he had the perfect metaphor for it, I think, in one of his stand-up specials, where he said he feels like an Alzheimer's patient, where every year he knows that he hates candy corn. He knows that it's disgusting. He knows that it could probably fuel a car if you melted it down. But every year he finds himself in front of like a little dish of candy corn.
He eats one.
He has to eat a few pieces and remind himself that this is shit.
So the connection outside of Skittles and Reese's Pieces, I think everything can be connected and classified as boomer candy.
I think you're right. I think this is all boomer candy for the most part. Maybe not Mike and Ike's. Mike and Ike's feels a little too rebel for those.
Yeah, I
boomers.
think that would probably fall into the Gen X candy.
I can do Mike, I can do Ike, but I can't do Mike and
Not
Ike.
together.
Not together.
Not in my America.
Not in this house.
And
And those
easy there, easy J6.
No, those
Like, there's some like boomer candy that is excellent.
Like what? What are your top boomer candies?
So like Hasbro.
M, the boomer ally.
So like Hasbro Boomies, they go all the way back then. And those are delicious and amazing.
I'm going to ask ChatGPT what's classified as boomer candy.
Okay.
And I'm
report back to us.
I think like Payday I think Paydays.
Oh, I don't like
there.
Paydays.
Oh, you don't like Paydays?
Mm-mm.
$100 are banging. Have you ever had $100 in a while?
Almonds are really good. Almond Joys are actually good.
Almond Joys are okay. I can
I
get
don't
down
like
with an
coconut.
almond joy. I don't like coconut either, but there's something about like my post-COVID taste buds that I can get a little more into. Into coconut. Maybe it's because there's like no taste to coconut.
Oh, I forgot these were even a thing. Remember the candy buttons? You get like the little piece of paper and you have like the little dots of like sugar on there.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen candy cigarettes?
Candy cigarettes.
Necco wafers are on here.
How do you feel about pixie sticks? How do we feel about pixie
See,
sticks?
I'm glad you said that because what was I watching the other day? I was watching Malcolm in the Middle the other day, and this kid was trading something for pixie sticks. And I stopped for a second. Do they make pixie sticks anymore?
Yes.
They do?
You have no idea. They still do crap like that in school. Pixie Sticks made a comeback. The kids have massive bags.
Where do you buy them?
Filled in their freaking backpacks. And then they're taking it out and like trying to snort it like damn cocaine.
Oh yeah. That was yeah.
Jesus Christ, children.
This kid in this kid in what was his name? Lu Hong in third grade. Lu Hong.
Easy.
Oh my goodness. That dude, he snorted a pixie stick in the cafeteria, like lined it out and then just did a full clean like right over there. Nose was bleeding for like 30 minutes.
Yes.
Like it would not stop.
And guess what? The kids are trying to do that in the middle of freaking class. They did that and he started getting a nosebleed. I was like, yeah, that's why you don't do that. It's not cocaine. It's sugar. You just put granulated sugar in your nose and now it's all torn up and bleeding.
See,
yeah, if you're gonna snort anything in my classroom, make sure it's cocaine, not pixie sticks.
That's pretty much what
Fucking
I said.
pussy.
That's what it felt like I said, honestly.
At the book fair when I was a kid, they had like these giant, like they were long ass, huge
ones, yeah.
pixie sticks, and I
Get those from amusement parks still.
I crushed that thing one afternoon, and I threw up so violently from it and so colorful from the pixie stick. I never touched another one. That's all.
Amazon, you can buy a 3-pound bag worth of pixie sticks for $36.99.
Why not just pour it into the bag?
No. That's the size that they put in their backpacks.
That's
how many
crazy.
they can. That's literally how many they'll carry at a time. But I think that they get them mostly from Five Below.
Why don't I just get 3 pounds worth of sugar?
You could.
I'm sure it's cheaper than $37.
Just invest in sugar canes. That was our morning go-to at Food Line. Let's just chop up a little piece of sugar cane. Oh, well. Moving from that top 5 right into another that we're going to collaborate here on Sky. The top 5 players or coaches that look like their city. Now, you can add in personality. I don't know your considerations for this list, how you went about it, but I did add in a little bit of personality, but I'm trying to really go off of just somebody that looks like the city.
I was very subjective. I was only looks.
You were only looks?
You look at this guy and you look at the guy, you know what team he's on. He's like, you'd be like, okay, yep, he's from that area.
Okay. Well, you crank out your top 3. Okay, you go to your whatever your top 3, and you're going to start at number 5. Then I will take number 4. You'll take number 3. I'll take number 2, and you'll take number 1. Okay.
We both give number 1s. Don't give me more.
You're giving. Okay.
We both have a number 1. Let's both put one in the 1.
Fuck it,
and
let's
then M
do
will
it.
vote on it, and then we'll have M vote on it.
She'll vote on the best one. Okay. All right. Number 5, Scott. Who do you have?
Number 5, I have Nick Sirianni.
Oh, look at that.
For the Eagles. He looks like Philly trash.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one for me.
You'll see a thread with all mine too, by the way.
Number 5 for me, somebody that looks enough like his city and definitely has the personality for it. Dan Campbell of Detroit Lions.
Stole one of mine.
He looks built. He's built Ford tough. Like he's out there.
He looks like he'd be in the factories, like just on the assembly line making cars for America.
Yes. Number 4.
Number 4, I'm gonna give me Bill Belichick with New England. Growing up in New England as a young whippersnapper, he is the quintessential grumpy old white man.
I suggested that to Reed, and he said no when I said Belichick.
I couldn't get down on Belichick with it. He didn't scream Boston to me, although there was a video of him having kind of like a walk of shame recently.
Yep, no shirt on.
No shirt on a ring alarm camera. That kind of screamed Boston.
Well, what eventually happens, because it's so cold up there all the time, like over time, like your face just starts scrunching up like this. So you start seeing all the old guys just walking around looking all angry.
Well, number 4 for me, it's going kind of the opposite way. I'm going to L.A. and former Lakers star Nick Young, a.k.a. Swaggy P.
Ooh.
I think just everything about him, from just like he had the cocky look. Everything about him was just too uber confident. And including his most famous shot of like shooting a deep 3, turning around before it even makes it in, posing while it drains out of the bucket. Like that's LA confidence, I think, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Scott.
Give me Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay. He looks like some little douchey person walking around Tampa Bay.
Players and coaches.
Yeah, players and coaches.
Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. All right, Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay. All right.
He looks like some college kid who's out on spring break, walking around with no shirt on, causing problems and riffraff.
Oh, riffraff. Well, look, number 3 for me, staying in Florida, but it's going to Miami and the Miami Heat. That is Tyler Hero.
Ooh.
The way he looks now with the fade, his all white clothing that he'll be wearing while he's sitting out injured on the sideline, like he strikes fake Miami swag to me. That's Tyler Hero. Number 2, Scott.
We're going to stay in Tampa Bay. We're going to go with their late head coach, Bruce Arians, who looks like a snowbird who's just riding around in a golf cart in some boomer society. Little what's the word I'm looking for?
Condominium, or like a 55 and over community.
Yeah, 55 and over community. Yeah.
See, I would have gone Bruce Arians for when he was in Arizona. And,
it works both ways.
He was so red, like it could be the Heat, or he could just be matching the team. Like you don't know what he's doing.
It honestly works both ways.
Number 2 for me is Lamar Jackson in Baltimore.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Like,
why is that, Reed?
He's just adopted the Baltimore style and everything just perfectly, like a character from The Wire. It's because he's black. That's it.
Thank you.
That's all. Number 1 for you, Scott.
Oh, gosh. Number 1. Oh, number 1 was the easiest decision I've ever made. It's Andy Reid of Kansas City.
Yes.
It's the easiest thing. He was the first person I thought of.
Burger and barbecue eating ass.
Yep.
Yes, looks like Kansas City.
Is it Waffle House at 3 a.m?
I love him, sweetheart, but he definitely screams Kansas City.
You know what? So mine, I think Scott, you win the list overall with that Andy Reid one because I didn't even think about that. But my number one also gives you points because you already had it on your list. Yeah. But it's Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you know what? We were very close all around because I had to bump off the Lions head coach Dan Campbell because he was on there.
Yep. So. We'll give the win to Scott. I think Scott wins that.
I feel like we're former players.
Yeah, former players. Yeah, it could be anybody.
I feel like Gronk really did scream Tampa Bay.
I think Gronk had Tampa Bay vibes. Yeah.
I feel like he screamed Tampa Bay for sure.
Kirk Cousins
of Minnesota.
Yeah. For similar reasons to Lamar.
Cole Holcomb with the mullet was representing Washington and the Commanders at the time. But if they represent Virginia too, Cole Holcomb screams Fredericksburg, Virginia. Yeah, deep Spotsylvania. Yeah. Love Cole.
Oh God. Go Knights.
Go Knights. You're welcome. Congrats, Scott. There you go.
Hey.
But Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka's a good one. Yep.
Yeah.
Literally everybody copies his look for Chicago now.
Well, he made Chicago look. Yes. Mm-hmm.
He is a lot of Chicago.
I guess Nick Saban just of Alabama is in general. Just looks like Alabama white men. Yeah.
All right. Vince Wilfork for the Texans.
That's a good one.
Calipari for Kentucky.
Oh, Calipari. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then
I mean, Mike Krzyzewski looks like Duke, like that. Like I can't think of Duke now in white superiority complex than Coach K.
Yeah, it's a pretentious society that's down there.
And then who's the Rams coach? Is it McVay?
Mm-hmm.
He really screams kind of like Silicon Valley, LA, that level of LA.
Oh my God! I just thought of the person that wins this list. And I don't you can Google him if you don't know him off the top, but Scott, you know him for sure, and this has to win. Ed Orgeron, when he was LSU's coach. Ed Orgeron,
yes,
he is the Bayou.
When we won,
Ed Orgeron is the Bayou. He is a literal swamp monster. And he sounds like a swamp monster.
Even his accent,
like everything about him is LSU.
He wins.
The Bayou.
I take your fanfare back and give it to me.
There's your. Oh, I'll leave that one alone. I was going to say something, but I'm not going to.
Well, look,
I'll say it when we're not recording.
I'll say the Butterfingers too.
Sala definitely represents a lot of Jersey and Staten Island for sure.
Yes. Well, finally, the final top 5 here, and I guess we can compete again on this one, but the top 5 perfectly mid players in sports history, inspired by Ryan Tannehill getting benched by the Tennessee Titans after, 11 years of, perfectly average play. And that's what we're talking about here. Players that weren't really ever, they weren't bad in their primes or anything. They weren't ever great. They were perfectly average. You could get by with them, but you could also be disappointed as shit that they're not any better than they are. So, Scott, what is your number 5 there?
You're going to see a common thread. I want to see if you know what the common trait between all my 5 are. Number 5 is going to be Keith Van Horn from the New Jersey Nets.
That's a good one.
Can I just take a guess? Are they all white?
Yeah. When you think mid, you think white.
I mean, that goes for my number 5. My number 5 here is Kevin Love.
Ooh.
This time the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he might still be there. I think he went to the Miami Heat, but he was always just perfectly mid. He could just get you the right shot. I had an OLI too, a good OLI of Rajon Rondo, but I think playoff Rondo just knocks him out of contention for it.
Yeah.
Number 4, Scott?
Heath Miller, tight end for the Steelers.
Heath Miller. Okay. Number 4 for me is Mark Ingram, former running back of the Saints and wherever else. I think he was perfectly
serviceable.
He's serviceable. He was the good Thunder in a Thunder and Lightning package.
Right.
Number 3, Scott.
Number 3, we're gonna go with give me Dallas Clark, another tight end. From the Colts.
Good white tight end. A lot of tight ends. I think a lot of tight ends, especially like Colts tight ends, could really make this list. Number 3 for me, a little bit of a hot take. Huge name, but I think he was perfectly mid. That was Yao Ming.
Ooh.
Yao Ming was known for just being superhuman tall, kind of like Victor Wembanyama now and everything, and just perfect.
The basketball player from China.
Yeah, just perfectly serviceable.
He was.
He was good. He did his job. Smack shit down. There you go.
Just compete with Shaq. Put a big body with Shaq.
Yep, that's right. Number 2, Scott.
Danny Amendola.
Patriots wide receivers can also be
Patriots slot receivers. These scrappy, just first one in, last one out kind of guys. These real gym rats. That's where you're going to see a lot of these on these lists.
Yep. Number 2 for me is the person who inspired this list, which is weird, but he didn't make to number 1, but that's what he is. He's perfectly average, and he gets him to number 2. That is Ryan Tannehill. He was perfectly mid with the Miami Dolphins to the point where they could not get rid of him, and they had to give him a decent extension because they couldn't. He's one of those quarterbacks you just can't. Like, what do you got to do? You're going to release him, and then you'll get stuck with like a fucking Mac Jones or some type of form of Ryan Fitzpatrick or something. Like he was just serviceable enough to get you to playoffs, and then he would get hurt in like week 16, so then you're screwed without him. But you also probably would have been screwed, and you would have like won maybe one playoff game with him. It's what he did in Tennessee when he got over there. It's Ryan Tannehill. You love him. Rest in peace to his starting career until he's starting for somebody again in spots next year. Number 1, Scott, the most perfectly mid player in sports history is.
Whenever I have a chance to prop up this player, I take it because he is the beacon of hope in a dark room that lets me know that I too one day could be a great NBA superstar, and that is the White Mamba himself, Brian Scalabrine.
That's a great one.
That's a good pick.
That's a great one. Number 1 for me is the only. He's really the predecessor of Ryan Tannehill in the NFL, and he inspired a full name of how you describe these quarterbacks and how you rank tiers of quarterbacks, and that is the Red Rifle himself from Cincinnati, Andy Dalton. He inspired the Dalton line, and that's where all of these teams started, and these analysts were like, is your quarterback better than Andy Dalton? Boom, you've got a really good quarterback. Is your quarterback worse than Andy Dalton? You need to go get yourself an Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton led the Bengals to the playoffs every year, and what did they do every year? They lost that first game. He could not win primetime games, but he would win every other game for you.
So, Kirk Cousins.
He was, but you know what? I thought about Kirk Cousins for this list, but I think Kirk Cousins is better than average.
Above.
I've thought he's always slightly above the Dalton line, and he has those moments.
He's always under the radar. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, he's not one to be flashy. He goes out, he produces, he makes his money, and he keeps it moving.
That's right.
So,
his guaranteed contracts that he seems to always be getting.
So somebody that people who will always make this list is every men's U.S. soccer player.
Yes.
Landon Donovan, even Pulisic.
Clint Dempsey.
As great as people will talk about Pulisic and stuff like that, if you look at him compared to all the other soccer stars, he ain't shit. He is mid. Like, he is not good.
That's damn right.
He's okay. So like that whole men's U.S. soccer team, they're like the epitome of just mid.
Oh, here's a name, Jake Plummer.
Oh, that's a good one.
When was the last time you heard that name come up in conversation?
See, this is dangerously veering into quarterback names that just make you smile.
Actually,
Brian Greasy.
Rex Grossman.
Wouldn't most of like the one white guy in the NBA team?
Usually they're perfectly mid. Yeah, usually most white play, like it's the Europeans The Europeans are going to be highly above average,
though.
right? But just like white American NBA players,
post Larry Bird,
and then, like outside of like mid like players, like Tomlin is a great coach. But he kind of like he just kind of hits like that above 50% every year.
That's why you can't call him perfectly mid though, because he does.
Grayson Allen.
He's never been 500 or below or anything. He's always been at a winning record. So I think you have to. He's right above whatever that line is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I think it's even better because there are coaches that are so, that will have shitty seasons. Even Andy Reid, everything during spurts in Philly would get losing records. So maybe that actually shoots Tomlin to the very top. I don't know. Ooh. Deep thoughts.
That was my chair.
Would Minshew be average? Or is he below Andy Dalton?
Who is? Well, yeah, I guess that's a good question. Now, who is?
What was the question?
Emily brought up Gardner Minshew, and like, is he below Andy Dalton or above Andy Dalton? But who is? Now that Tannehill's gone, who is? Somebody has to take that place.
Is it Baker?
Could Baker be the new Andy Dalton, Ryan Tannehill, like perfectly, like average player? That's a question for another day. Things that make you go,